When Easter 1906 was first introduced to the class, I would have to say I felt very uncomfortable. And I was researching what this piece was about and what it pertained, and I thought, I am surrounded by a lot of people that I don't know, and a lot of people that don't look like me. And we're talking about 3 African American men that were lynched in Springfield. And I thought, oh my goodness, like this is huge, and I don't know how this is gonna go.
We have not as much diversity as I think we would want in our community in Springfield, Missouri, and it's large in part because of this shift that happened after Easter 1906.
It's recounting an event that happened in Springfield, Missouri in the year 1906 on Easter weekend.
Sheriff Horner met them at the door and told them to go home. He threatened to fire into the crowd if they did not disperse.
So I get to bookend the piece with the narration at the beginning and narration at the end.
On that Friday evening, she took a buggy ride with 22-year-old Charles Cooper, a man she had met since moving to town.
It starts, with Mabel Edwards and Charles Cooper, and it seems like everything is okay. A simple buggy ride, and then an attack. And all of a sudden, everything is dark.
After Duncan and Coker were released, Charles Cooper claimed that Coker had stolen his watch.
We later find out that it's a lie.
Coker and Duncan were re-arrested and taken to the county jail.
These men, Horace B. Duncan and Fred Coker, were wrongly accused by Cooper and Edwards.
A mob comes to the jail, gets them, lynches them, but then they're like all riled up and they go right back to the jail, grab just any person that they can find, another black prisoner, his name Will Allen, and they bring him back and they lynch him as well.
We got to the movement 11, which was a high anticipation. And it's the moment where they're saying hang him over and over and over. And of course it's depicting, the crucifixion of Jesus, but it's also depicting the crucifixion or the lynchings of the 3 African American men that were lynched in this piece.
We've had several discussions with this piece in the choir. It's not easy and sometimes it's not fun, but it is so valuable and so rewarding to come at difficult issues head on. And these conversations wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for the specific purpose of the music.
I think many of us going into this didn't fully understand the weight of the story we were sharing. Oftentimes when we get a new piece of music, unfortunately, we don't really pay attention to what we're singing about. But this piece, you have to.
It has made me a different person, and it has made me realize that I have been ignorant in the past. I've been just not sensitive enough.
I felt held by my colleagues, by my choir, and they were there for me, and they were so understanding. And that is it's so much that I've never really asked for, because I didn't know that was something I could get.
My family, my chorale family, they are experiencing some of the same feelings and emotions that I'm feeling. Even though they might not be African American like myself, they realize that there's injustice and that there's still work that needs to be done.
They felt so safe to talk about my history and perform this piece without feeling isolated. If anything, I felt the complete opposite. Even starting the piece, I felt more connected. I felt this energy that we share, this pulse that we share with my colleagues who don't necessarily look like me or have experienced the same things as me.
I just had this overwhelming sense of relief once others in the class started expressing what this piece meant to them. and how it spoke to them. And we had several assignments where we had to research the people whose name that we're speaking and, what does it mean to them personally? And I finally realized I'm not alone.
One of the things that really stood out to me and touched me was at the very end of the work when it says that the only thing to remember this is a simple bronze plaque. And then as we looked at the various people in the song where we read the names of all the people who've been lynched in the state of Missouri, I remember doing the research for my particular person, Mundi Chowagi, and I scoured everywhere and there was nothing about him except his name on a list of someone who had been lynched. And there's so many of these people's stories that have not been told. And it's such an important part of our history and such an important part of the fabric of yes, the pain, but also what we need to bring up to experience healing in the long run. But I think it's with this and putting it to music that we finally get to heal as people, as a nation, as society, to bring these stories to light so that we can eventually then move forward.
We have the opportunity to grow through music every time we approach something, and this particular work has caused us to feel how real things can be, and music just brings that out. I feel like the students now are, for some of them, far more accepting of others than they have been. For some others of them, a little bit in the right direction, but everyone has grown through this piece and has taken on a new understanding of other people. They realized through diving in on this piece and having some very difficult conversations that they weren't who they even aspired to be, and that's been a marked change, I think, in the lives of these students, and that's what choral music can do. It brings us together. It allows us to truly work as one. And I think more and more so today, we're going to continue to see works that really speak to the core of what we need to be talking about in society.